Scott McCutcheon. I am the founder of Summer Studios. Welcome to episode 3 of my Yamaha Virago project. If you've been following me, we just finished up painting this thing, and I wanted to kind of start by, I guess, starting to put some parts together. So first thing we're going to be looking at is the gas cap. We'll put that thing back on since I just picked that up from Amazon. We'll get the keys together so that so we have that ready to go, since that's kind of an important part of the bike, right? We'll get the carburetor done, and we'll get the frame mounted back onto the top of the motor, and then finally we'll do the forks. We'll get the forks back in, and well, we may save the forks for episode 4. So this first episode we'll work on getting the frame, or this third episode, I'm sorry, we'll work on getting the frame back on top of the motor. That should be good, so let's get started. So I went ahead and got this package earlier today that included this, the Yamaha keychain tag to keep my keys together. So this was the key from the that came with the R6 front clip that I picked up a while back. So we're gonna go ahead and slide the key on there so we don't lose it. And then I picked this up as well, which is the new fuel cap. So fuel cap on the gas tank, when I found it stored sitting over there, was fine as far as I could tell, but I didn't have the key for it, so I had to drill it out. So I literally put a drill straight through that thing. It was kind of rough going, but made it work. So obviously you can see from the Amazon buy, this thing has this blue plastic all over it. It's a nightmare to get off. That's no fun. Okay, so FYI, that blue shit that was covering this, like the protective film, that stuff was on there pretty good, I suspect, because, you know, who the hell's buying a gas cap for an 83 Virago these days? So it's probably been sitting in their warehouse for quite some time, which is fine, but it took me a little bit of effort to get it cleaned up and removed. So we're going to use a little bit of goof off here. Soak this towel with it and try and get this goop off here that the film left. Alright, we're looking good. That's a shiny new gas cap. It came with keys, obviously. So we're going to pop one of these off. The other one we'll keep. One of them comes onto here. So this becomes our Yamaha Virago key set. I don't know what the original keys looked like for the Virago. I don't know if they used the same keys for the gas cap as they did for the ignition. I expect they did. I expect it was the same, the same cap, or the same key, I'm sorry. But if not, then, so be it, I guess. So this is, obviously just goes right here on top of the tank. As you can see, I have the rear clip from the original gas cap. the original gas cap, of which I had to drill out of the tank, you know, because again I didn't have a key for it, so that didn't work out for me so well. So either way, I don't need this piece, obviously, because I have a new one. Right? Not too bad, just kind of stiff, but overall pretty good. I think that'll work out well. Looks good. We're going to go ahead and get the frame mounted back on the motor. I don't expect that anything is wrong with the motor. However, I've never started it, and it's just been sitting here for God knows how long. So even though I haven't totally inspected it, when I found it originally, the rear head had been removed, so it had been sitting out there with the head disassembled. So I've already put the rear head back on and verified that at least the rear head is okay. I didn't really look too much at the front head because it was already still assembled. And as far as I can tell, the crankcase and transmission and everything inside it is still okay. It turns by hand, at least, so there's that. There is no oil in it currently, so we'll get to that point, or we'll get to the point of filling it up later. But for now, we're really just going to put the frame back on top of the motor and then go from there. I am under the impression that I should be able to work on the carburetors without having to have the frame, or have the engine out of the frame. It just may be a little more difficult. Either way, the very first thing we're going to do before we get too far is we're going to put these oil lines back on. So I had taken these off to paint, and now that we're done painting, they need to go back on. So that looks pretty good. Very cool. Alright, so as far as getting the rest of the frame back on, the first things we're going to have to do is put the frame's mounting brackets back onto the motor. So the rear comes with these types of brackets, and they need to be mounted just up on top back here. They're two different sizes, so it's pretty hard to mess it up, right? But the small one goes on the left-hand side of the bike, and the larger one goes on the right-hand side of the bike. You can really only go on one way, so it's hard to, again, mess it up. And then you got these 4 real large nuts to bolt the whole head assembly down. Top of the head for the rods here. And then when we're done, I'll show you the front head mount. Now those I'm probably going to want to tighten up, but we'll do that here in a sec. So these are the bolts that would mount the rear of the frame. They'll go in here. We'll get to those in a second. Leave them there. This is the front frame mount, and it'll just go on right here, just like that. Alright, so real simple. Let me make sure I'm doing this correctly. Yeah. Let me slide it on just like that. I think that's good. Okay, and then we're going to want to remove these slide bolts here, as they're the ones that hold the frame up, and they'll need to be out in order for us to get the frame on, obviously. Turns out these are all 19mm bolts holding the head on. So we'll go ahead and tighten those in a cross pattern. You know, so that we're not tightening any one corner too much at a time. Oh, so those are actually not 19mm on the front head. Those are smaller. Turns out they are 17s. Yeah. The frame is mounted, or the frame mounts are mounted onto the bike. We'll go ahead and put the frame back together. So before I painted it, I stripped it of its rubber. And it's really just these two pieces that we need to be super concerned with, because these are the spacers for the rear mount. So they kind of need to go back in here. Press. And these caps on the end, I don't really know their purpose. They just go right here. I assume for pressing up against the inside of the tank to help reduce noise and vibration. Alright, so with those little rubber bits back inside the frame, we should be able to go ahead and pop this guy back on. And then I want to put in the bolts for the rear mounts, which are also 14mm. Okay, I wanted to kind of show off how to put this piece on, this like rear subframe mount. Swing arm mount, basically, because it's kind of a pain to do. Unfortunately, you'll see once we get to it, I'm not going to be able to finish it, but that's the point. So this mount basically slides in right here. I hope you get a good shot of that. Right, easily done. After which we use these bolts here to kind of hold it in place. Now, from what I understand from the manual, this was a some type of bracket for the kickstand, like the center stand. But But since I don't intend to use the center stand for this project, I think we'll be okay foregoing it. Perfect. We'll pop these in. And then we use this this big long rod here to actually slide through the base of the motor here. Now obviously, like, as you can see, this is much longer than it needs to be for all this extra space. But the reason for that is because this is this bar is also where you'll mount the like foot pegs and that kind of crap to it. So for now, we're just going to kind of leave this loose. We're going to leave this all a little loose as it stands. So I'm pretty disappointed that I appear to be missing the second bolt. So I've ordered a grab bag off eBay of random bolts from a 95 Virago. So I'm hoping I'll be able to find the right one in that grab bag. Because for now, I'm pretty sure I do not have the necessary bolt to do this other side. But this one, I'm pretty sure goes right there, and we'll tighten it down when we're ready. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this one goes here. And like I said, I'm just not I'm not prepared to do it because I don't have the second one. So that's fine. Either way, you know, when we're ready for the swing arm, this should be fun. You know, we'll pretty much just slide this guy on like this. And there's your swing arm. So that's pretty cool. Again, I'm just going to leave this kind of loose so that it can actually act like a swing arm for now. I'm actually not sure that it's good to leave it hanging like that, but that's pretty much how that works there. Alright, so these two base pieces here are for the center stand. This is where the center stand would mount. And again, I'm pretty sure I'm missing the bolts for this guy too, because this is one of them. Here's the center stand, right, which would mount again just right down in here. Somehow, I'm not exactly sure how it works. I expect it to be over there, right? I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I know that I'm pretty certain that these are it. Yeah. So, like I said, I'm missing the other one, so I'm missing one of these bolts here. And I'm missing that bolt here. So, again, I've ordered the grab bag off eBay. And should get my hands on that soon. So, I'm going to go ahead and remove this swing arm for now, because I don't want it resting like that over the next couple weeks. But I like how that fits in. So sorry about Right, and then this is the kickstand that I am going to use, which will mount right down here. You know, so this one kind of fits in like this. Or, I'm sorry. I think it's here. It actually fits in. Yeah, so like that. And then the kickstand switch will be here. And then, of course, it needs a spring right there. So that'll be good. We'll get that done soon. But that's where it goes. And then, yeah, like I said, we'll be in pretty good shape here. So, I think that's about all I'm going to be able to do for now until the bolt grab bag comes in. Like I said, I don't think I'm going to use this center stand for this project, but I don't think it really goes that well with the Virago. I suppose this is the spring for the kickstand. Right, so we'll get all this stuff mounted up soon. Like I said, when the parts grab bag shows up. But until then, I suppose we're pretty much done for episode 3. We got the frame on, we got most of the swing arm subframe, and we test mounted the swing arm itself. So I'm feeling pretty good about all this. As you can see, I got a few more parts in. I shipped off this lower triple tree off to a place called Cognito Moto, and they were able to press in this stem. So this is the conversion stem for the R6 forks there, so that I can go and mount the stems here in this bad boy. So this will just slide up in there, and it'll just slide up in there, and it's specifically designed, you know, this thing is specifically designed for the height of the Virago frame, so that it can mount the R6 forks in there. So that's a pretty cool bit. I'm really glad Cognito Moto was able to do that. It looks like they made not only an awesome part, but did a great job, you know, mounting it in there. So that's pretty sharp. So I should be able to do the forks any day now, whenever I feel like it. We're going to save that for episode 4. So we got the bearings too, top and bottom bearings from All Balls Racing. So that'll be cool to be able to mount that guy on there. And we'll save that for episode 4. We also got this. This is a here's the intake manifold for this single throttle body. So these are the OEM throttle or carburetors. I'm sorry. The wood just mounts in here, right? But as you can see, that these aren't in the best of shape. I believe they still work. Like they're still effective in terms of actually their operation. So the throttle plate's open and closed. The floats still actuate. Everything's cool. I'm pretty sure they still work, but like I said, they're not going to work for me. Mostly because I feel like it's too complicated to want to sync these carburetors, one for each head. That's just a lot of work for me. I was trained with fuel injection in mind, so everything I've done in my life basically has always been with fuel injection. So this is my first time messing with a carburetor, really. I know how they work in theory. I've never actually owned one, so this is the first time that I've done all that. But either way, so we're going to replace all this with a single carb. So that's where this comes in. So this is just, your intake manifold, basically. That's going to mount up like this, and the carb will just mount over here on the other side, single carb. This is a Mikuni VM30 single carb that we're going to mount on there, brand new. so I know everything's good with it, as opposed to this one where I'm not exactly sure. So that was actually a big deal for me because I didn't want to have to go to the trouble of trying to rebuild these when I'm not very experienced with it. So I just went ahead and bought a new one, and we'll tune from there. As for that, I suppose we're pretty much all set for now. We'll jump into episode 4, mounting the forks. So that'll be the next big project we go and do. And it should be lots of fun. So I hope you stay tuned, and we'll get to it. Thanks for watching.